And after that, always he had a beautiful smile. I saw him super social, a lot of compassion with everybody. And always he had a good talking with me, super polite. And yeah, many of you are the same way. I'm so proud of you guys. All of that you know, I'm super proud of the way you are. Because many of you are so kind. I hope so. Many of you follow the way he was. So I never changed. But he was a great guy. Beautiful smile. Always he have a good, nicely comment to me and to my daughter. So I'm very thankful and grateful for many guys. I know you. All right. That's it.
Curtis was a lot of things. He was so many things that we could name off, and the one that stands out most and you hear from everybody was the unconditional love that he had for everybody. He was, ever since he was this tall, he had that love for everybody that he met, and it came from his family, and he was part of the neighborhood, and he wasn't just a fellows, he was one of everybody. He was everybody's little brother, everybody's big brother. Like, he just blended in with any situation in every group. And you can't say enough to the kid's heart and everything that he gave it to every situation and to every person and everybody here. His presence is something that nobody has. Nobody has that kind of presence that will live on forever. And that's what Curtis will be known for, is that unconditional love and how he touched everybody out here.
First and foremost, I just want to say that rather than mourn his death, I think that we should try to celebrate his life, because Curtis was great in life, and he was the most upbeat kid I knew, and he turned any subject or any person he talked to with anything. It was always, deep, talking about life. Curtis had big plans, and I thought that he was the happiest kid I knew most of the time. And I had a lot of experiences with Curtis. I hung out with him a good amount of times, and we've been on hikes talking about life and getting out of breath but still talking. But the one memory that stands out with Curtis is this one time. He's always willing to help me with anything, and I had this big final project where I had to make a commercial for a class, and I was completely out of ideas. It was due the next day, and he came over and he said, "Let's sit down, we'll get it done, and I'll help you." And he came up with a ton of ideas and really contributed. And I remember the greatest idea was, I don't remember exactly what I was doing in the commercial, but I remember that I got a bunch of little t-shirts and we just ripped them in half and we were yelling. And my mom walked in and she's like, "What are you guys doing?" And he was just the funniest kid. And I don't think I've ever heard a negative word come out of his mouth. He's never talked bad about anybody. And anyone that knew him knew that he had the best. He's just one of the best people, kindest heart, and he was always there for me. And even if I was upset that someone got my order wrong, he was always there, like, "Oh, hey, you okay, man? Like, what can I do for you? Want me to get, no matter what it was, Curtis was there to help. He's there for other people, and he was just someone always talking everyone up, always making people feel good, and I just really want to focus on celebrating his life.
My most recent experience with Curtis was we had some, great experiences throughout high school playing soccer together, and we, as everyone knows, you get in those great deep conversations with Curtis where he genuinely wanted to know where you were at in life. And me and him had some similar struggles, and he was always right there to help and show sympathy with that, because we had those things in common that we were fighting with. And a little over a week ago, it seems like it was yesterday, I had let him know that I had finally received my mission call, and he literally opened my door, grabbed me out of the car, and picked me up in the air. And he lifted me up, and that's the kind of person he was. It didn't matter who you were, he was literally going to lift you up. He was going to pick you up, and I don't think that there's a more perfect quality that someone could have in life. And as far as I'm concerned, Curtis was as perfect as someone's heart could possibly be. He just wanted everybody to be lifted up to higher ground. It didn't matter who you were, where you came from, what things made you different. He just wanted to lift you up. And I'm so grateful for him. And I'm so grateful for the experiences that I had with him, because he's completely impacted my life for the better. And I know everyone's shared how he's done that for every single one of us. So I wanted to share that.
So I may not have met Curtis through school, like a lot of you. I'm kind of near it out, so it's been like a year now. But I remember the first time I moved into Pepperwood, Curtis was one of the first guys I ever met, and usually a lot of my friends are driving me around, so I'm usually on the visitor side a lot, so I happen to see Curtis way too often. And when I first moved, I thought he was really cool, and I was like, oh, you're super cool, we should talk sometime. And when I was going through some really rough patches, I would walk up or longboard up to him, and I would go and deep talk about everything with him, the classic Curtis Wells deep talks that we all talk about, that was what he was known for. I thought he was really cool, and then my best friend Hannah was up here talking, but she happened to talk about how freshman year she had denied him when he asked her out, and she thought it was the funniest thing every time we drove by. And I finally told her, I was like, hey, you should talk about it, see if you can make up that date, because she always talked about it. And one time we pulled up and she asked about it, and we were sitting there talking for 20 minutes. He was like, I remember you. You were the one girl who denied me on a date. And she happened to get that date. They started texting. He put in his contact information, put in everything, his address, his email, his phone number, everything he could possibly put in the contacts he did. And it was super awesome. Hannah was super excited about him. I thought he was the greatest kid. And so I knew that it was going to be something good. And I went to Classic with him. Turns out he cannot roller skate. But Hannah helped him out along the way. It was really cute. And then I remember Hannah didn't have a date to prom. And I was talking about it. And I was like, why don't you talk to Curtis? And she was like, he kind of sucks answering his phone. That's classic Curtis. So finally we went up to the gate and we talked about it with him, I'm pretty sure. And then he was like, yes, I would love to. And then I got a call from Hannah's mom one of the days, a day or two before prom. And Curtis was like, I officially want to ask her, and be really cute about it. So he had planned to have one of the other guards. We were hiding, Crystal, me and Curtis, and we were all hiding on the other side of the shack, and we were having Zach Tolman, if any of you know Pepperwood guards pretty well, we had him tell Hannah that their tire was flat. And she pulled over with her mom driving. I had told her that she needed to meet my parents for some reason, and they pulled over, and Curtis comes running out with flowers and runs around the car, and he's like, will you go to prom with me? And he had it on the board too, which she didn't even notice. And it was the cutest thing, and he was so happy. And I remember my dad has this talk with any guy that takes me to prom or any of my friends, because they're all basically my sisters. He sat down with my dad, and during the interview he talked for like an hour with my dad. And he talked about everything, about what he was doing, what his dad does, what his family's like, how life's going, you know. And it was perfect. And the day went great. Hannah was so happy. Curtis was so happy. And the last visual memory I have of Curtis is when I'm in the hot tub with all of my friends, and I'm just like sitting there having one of those moments like life is good, and I just turn and I see Hannah and Curtis with the biggest smiles on their faces. I don't think I've ever seen either of them smile so much in their life, and you know how much Curtis smiles. It meant so much. So I know that he's in a safer place, and I know that, I don't know if all of you are religious, but I happen to be, and I know that the Lord's watching over him, and he's kind of up there listening and looking down on every single one of us. I know he is, and he appreciates anything you guys say, and he's really loving, and I love him, and he loves us all, and he's all in our prayers, and we love you, Curtis.
Just like many of you, I'm probably always going to ask the question why. I see a lot of us boys from soccer, business fellows. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful that you were willing to share Curtis with all of us. It was a really tender mercy for all of us. We all have many stories about Curtis. I'm so grateful that he would always push us on the field. We would always do sprints, and we would suck, and we would have to go up and down. And he would always say, "One more," and we would laugh. And it's hard to hear Curtis' voice now saying, "One more. One more day, and we'll get to see him again." I'm grateful for Curtis, and I love him.
Curtis was in my ward, and he actually knew our family before I was even born. And Curtis isn't a friend, he's a brother. And he never realized how much I looked up to him. And I never got to tell him. But I know he's here now, and that he'll know now. And obviously, we all love him, and he's here for all of us.
So I worked with Curtis at the Pepperwood Gate for a while, and we were homies. We called each other our kindred spirits, and we loved each other like brothers, that's for sure. We had each other's back through everything. And one time, when Donald Trump won the presidency, we wanted to have some fun. We put "Make America Great Again" on the Pepperwood sign. I was working, and Curtis was kind of just hanging out with me at the gate, because we do that a lot. Like, we would hang out with each other on our shifts, and this was the day after the election, and we put the sign up, and after about 2 hours, this lady came by, and she was just not having it. She was so mad about it. She was yelling at me, saying, "Democrats and Republicans both live here, blah, blah, blah," all this stuff, and I said, just chill out, you know. And then Curtis was there, and he came out, and he had my back through that. He made her give him her driver's license, and just gave her the hardest time, because she was giving me a hard time, and we were friends like that, you know. We just do anything, like, I don't know, we went through a lot together, and I love him so much, and I'm gonna miss him for the rest of my life, and I know for sure that he's looking all over all of us, and he loved every single person here, and he'd be so happy to see you all here. And I know it means a lot to his family. Miss you, Curtis. I love you.
On my way over here, I was in the car with Bubba, and we were talking about all these memories we've had with him, because growing up playing soccer together on Arsenal, we had a lot of them, a lot of memories. One of my favorites is, well, all of us from Arsenal decided to plan a trip to Gateway and spend the night at the Fellows' home. And I remember there, obviously you see a lot of homeless people that are needy. And none of us wanted to do it because we didn't know if they were actually homeless or they just wanted our money or whatever, so we kept on passing them. And Chris pulled out a $20 bill for this guy in a wheelchair, and he gave it to him. You know, and we all kind of gave him crap, like, oh, that guy doesn't need it. I don't think he's actually homeless. And Chris was like, no, have a good feeling about this one. Have a good feeling. And so we go walking out. We obviously had a soccer ball with us, just playing around. And on the way back to the tracks, we see this guy stand up, stretch out his legs, and then sit back down in the wheelchair. So we kept on kind of giving him crap. You don't have to, listen to your friends. And knowing Curtis and the good heart that he really had, he wasn't mad about it at all. He really didn't have a single expression. He just kept on going, as happy as ever. Really, every time we would just be bored doing nothing as friends, every time Curtis got there, it'd be a happier experience. He'd have something to do. And really, it's just so surreal that this has happened, but we all love him and miss him.
Anyone else?
Man, I'm not gonna make it.
First of all, Curtis's dad, he's in a lot of pain right now. Couldn't come. I wish you could have, because Curtis touched so many lives. Curtis is one of the youngest of 100 first cousins, and all of them, he was so dear to all of them. And as we've been working through the program and the funeral stuff, it's like, how do you include, how do you include, how do you include? And so then when Caroline called, I was so grateful, because this is what he would have wanted. The funeral will be for us, and it'll be a celebration of his life. But this is Curtis. You guys will get to hear me at the funeral, but I am forever grateful. Besides deep talks, Curtis did know how to create a battle. He could keep it going, and he didn't get what he wanted. And the other funny thing I can think of Curtis, if I bought a saying or quote that he really liked, if it wasn't really glued to my wall, it ended up in his room. And he was so proud of his room. He thought he was the greatest interior decorator of all these things. I'm sure when you take him down, there's going to be so many holes in that wall. I mean, one other funny story that just happened last week. I went to grab my husband's cologne for something, and I popped off the lid, and the spray pump is gone. I'm like, where would that go? Because my husband hasn't used this. He doesn't wear cologne often. So I grabbed his other bottle. It's gone, too. Where would that have gone? I thought Curtis probably lost his and just came and used them for him. But I guess two things. That one thing that did get mentioned, he loved clothes. And when we were down picking a suit, I said, how many mothers have a closet that you have to choose a suit from? Which suit? And he loved Savers because he get lots of clothes at Savers. Even if they were way too small. If they were cool, he still bought them. He also loved his Pepperwood job. He loved it. And he loved soccer.
But as you guys all know, his greatest love was that he wanted to serve his Heavenly Father. It was so important to him his whole life. And he didn't care if you were different. He didn't care if he made mistakes. He felt so bad. But he so greatly loved. I guess that's the biggest word I can say, but he loved anybody. And he loved to cheer. I probably will share one more memory, because this one I probably wouldn't share at the funeral. It's a soccer one. But he was on the sidelines because he couldn't be in the game. And he was getting so darn frustrated. He wanted to be out there cheering for his team. And I remember him finally just getting so frustrated that Allie Milberg had to just pull him back. Curtis, come on, Curtis, it's okay. Don't get our team in trouble. And people had his back, even with his enthusiasm. Just want him to know, and he knows this, he knows I loved him. He knows his sister and his brother Mark that couldn't be here loved him. He was the baby by a long shot, and probably why he thought he was the life of the party, because he was born that way, the life of the party. Love you guys. Thank you, the Care Bear. Thank you.
I've been trying to think the whole time of what to say. Okay, so Curtis, I've known him since forever. I can't even remember a time that I didn't know him. He's literally the cutest person ever. As you can see, like, just look at that smile. It's just like just thinking about the way he would talk, and like he would just he just always knew what to say, and no matter what, like, I would think I wasn't gonna do good in a soccer game. He just knew what to say. And he would always want to help me and like show me new moves and things. And it was just the best big brother I could have ever asked for. Him and Andrew, and I love him so much. And he would come to every girls' soccer game, even if he wasn't allowed to. He would be there. He would break in, or he would be there in the parking lot watching her. He was so happy when I came to Alta, and he just, every time I would walk in, he'd just give me the biggest hug, and he just, I'm just gonna miss him so much. And he just had the biggest impact on everyone. And he's so amazing, and just, I just hope everyone just knows how amazing he is, and yeah. Okay, so I'm kind of ending this unless anyone else has anything last to say. Oh.
So I'm not going to say anymore. We just started a group for Curtis on Facebook. I know a lot of you know about it, and I wasn't able to add all of you because I don't know hardly any of you. But please just go on to Facebook and look up Curtis Parker Fellows and add all the pictures you can find of him. I know it would mean the world to Lois Ann and the family. And as well, Taylor Sampson has a link on there where you can add photos that they'll be using as well. So just please go, and it'll be a good time to think more about Curtis and find those beautiful pictures of him smiling. So put them on there, please.
Okay, one other memory that I wanted to share is Curtis always tried to convert me to be Mormon. Ever since we were literally like 5 years old, he has tried to convert me to be Mormon, and it is just the funniest thing. He gave me this CTR ring. It's a mood ring, and he gave it to me probably like 7 years ago, like so long ago, and he knew that I wasn't gonna wear it. He knew that I wasn't gonna be Mormon, but he didn't care. It meant something to him, and he gave it to me, and he just told me to hold on to it, just in case if I ever needed it. And now I need it, and now I have it, and I'm just grateful that he gave it to me and that he told me to hold on to it. He knew I would need it, so he gave me something to keep. Okay. So a couple people have talked about Andrew Bell. If you don't know him, that's Curtis's best friend. That's my best friend. Me, Andrew, and Curtis. Our best friends. They've been there for me since I was in kindergarten. I just was so sad that Andrew couldn't be here because I just needed him here. I just needed him with me for this. So I've been messaging him on Facebook, and he's not supposed to talk to me because he's on his mission and stuff, but I needed him when I found out about Curtis, and he messaged me back because he knew I needed him. And we talked, and he made me feel a lot better about everything. I just asked him if he wanted me to say anything for him, because I know how much he wishes that he was here. So I asked him if he wants me to say something for him, and he's like, yeah, I totally do. Like, of course he did. And he sends me, I'm thinking like something maybe small, he sends me an email of this longest thing ever, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're gonna make me read that in front of 1,000 people, like, thank you. But I'm gonna read it, because I'm gonna read it for him. Okay. Okay, so it's basically like a story for him. He starts it, he at the top writes, growing up with Curtis Fellows. I can't remember a particular time when we started to become best friends. We were about the age of 4 or 5. I remember playing on the same soccer team. I remember how excited I was in kindergarten when our classes would combine and I'd sit next to him and we would get in trouble for talking and got split up. I remember in about 3rd grade, we were so hyperactive that when everyone was playing Pokemon or a happy, good game of Foursquare at recess, and we would be up on the hill sprinting around, acting like it was World War II and it just broke out. We would spend countless hours pretending like we were army men, playing G.I. Joes, watching cartoon war movies. I remember going to his Pinewood Derby, and he was so excited to show me his car and how pumped he was that his dad helped him. In middle school, we had one class and one class only with each other for the rest of our lives. We were convinced that teachers told the principal to never have us in the same class. Because one day we talked the whole time, so he moved us. But we could see each other's reflection off of the mirror, so we would make faces at each other. Then he moved us again, and we would just laugh so hard with each other. We went to this camp called